Okay, now that our first round of highlights is done, I've decided that I'm going to just add a little bit of white to the color, the darkest gray color I was dry brushing the vest out in, and I'm just going to just hit just very sparingly the highest points of the figure, not going completely over the figure like I did before, but this is just going to hit just the highest spots. And I'm being very lightly about it. That's one of the main keys to dry brushing, is you want to just drag the brush over the piece with less force. And when you're doing just like what I'm doing now, just trying to pick up the highest of the raised areas, I'm very, very lightly dragging it. So you just want to just be very subtle about it. Just like that. I'm not sure if the camera can pick up on this or not, but now as you can see, the vest is, more defined than it was before. This is what you want. This is exactly what you're wanting with the dry brushing. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a color called Titan Buff from Golden, and basically just like before with the dry brushing, I'm gonna use a new clean brush. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to do the same thing with the shirt. Just going to dry brush the highest points, just to give it a little bit more definition. Like so. When you're working with lighter colors, it's kind of hard for the camera to see exactly how it's appearing on the piece, because it's much lighter. But this is something that I feel will make the piece a little bit more defined, and that's what you want. You want the piece to be as defined as possible without going overboard, of course. Like in my previous videos, a good painter always knows when to stop. Sometimes you might feel that you got a little bit too much paint on your brush and you just want to brush it away again. That happens. Like as you were airbrushing, you want to turn the kit in all different directions. Now I did do a wash on the shirt, but since the vest is black, I'm not going to do a wash on the vest. When it comes to dealing with the darker colors like your blacks and your really dark blues, I generally do not wash the piece in oils. It's just to me, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, but it's just, you're not going to be able to really pick up any more shadows than you could if you just were dry brushing it. If the vest was like a gray color, then yeah, I would add a wash. But since it's black, there's really no need in it. Well, I'm starting to really like the way this is looking. See, I'll move the camera and let you guys see what it did. I see how the shirt's more defined now. This is what you want your clothing to look like. You want it to be very subtle. You see how the wrinkles and the folds is, you know, highlighted a little bit better. That's what you want when you're dealing with clothing. This is really pretty much that when you're dealing with clothing. The one thing though to remember is when you're dry brushing a piece, you want the shadows and the highlights to fall naturally as where light would hit them, and that's pretty much it. You don't want to take and, you know, be in a rush about it. And in some cases, you could take the piece and you could go outside or shine a light on it, and just you'll be able to tell where the folds and everything hits, you know, naturally. That's what you want. When you deal with contests and stuff and paint for contests, this is one of the things that judges really look for, is, you know, realism on how the folds and stuff are, how naturally your shadows look. Another mistake painters make, and I did make this mistake a lot when I first started, is in some cases when you are dealing with shadows, some people make their shadows a little bit darker than they should be, and then it makes the figure look too stark, and that's something you don't want. Well, that's just something you'll end up learning with time. But especially when you're dealing with lighter shades, you want your wrinkles and folds to be just a shade or two darker than the overall color of the shirt or whatever you're painting. And that's pretty much it for this installment. This is Painter for Hire 1975 with you. I will see you guys for part 7. Part 8. And hopefully we'll be able to finish this up in part 8 or maybe part 9. I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.